My game is going to be Utah at Colorado. You know, I'm not going to make a pick, but I will talk about it. Let's preview this game. The Utes heading to Boulder for a little, what do they call it now? The Rumble in the Rockies? I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, this is a rivalry. I never played Utah. So, I mean, yeah, like, great. I love Kyle Whittingham. I've said a bunch of times in public spaces that if I had a son, he's one of the coaches I would love for my son to play for. Kyle is a phenomenal football coach. He's a great human being, and that's a program that I have had a ton of respect for a long time. They have been decimated by injuries this year, in particular on the offensive side. They lost their best offensive lineman. They lost their best tight end. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost their best wide receiver. And their season has not gone the way many of us thought it was going to as they came into the year as the Big 12 favorite. Meanwhile, Colorado, which not many people gave a chance in the preseason, except maybe yours truly, they're sitting here on the precipice of playing themselves into the Big 12 championship game. So a meaningful game as it relates to not only the Big 12 race, but also the college football playoff as we head to Boulder in November, which is exciting for me. Obviously, I grew up going to a lot of games in this building, so just getting to call a game is a real treat, I will say. It's an honor. All right, so Utah's coming off that emotional loss to BYU. We all know that was an emotional loss. I can't wait to see how they respond. Now, if they're anything like their head coach, they're going to respond with some grit and some toughness because that's what Kyle does. And so Utah loses to BYU after that fourth down holding call. BYU goes down and kicks the field goal. That was a terrific job by BYU. Reslop, their quarterback, did a wonderful job on that last series. And now Utah has got to recover and go on the road. So how they play and how they enter this game from a psyche standpoint is really interesting to me. They are dealing with some more injuries. The quarterback who played against BYU, Brandon Rose, a sophomore for them, he made his first career start in that game against the Cougars. He's now out. Their tight end, Brant Keithy, he's out. So the Utes are going to go back to their true freshman quarterback that has started a few games this year, Isaac Wilson, Zach's brother. He started 5 games, but he's had a bit of a turnover issue when he's been in there. Now, he has thrown 8 touchdowns, but he's had 8 interceptions, so a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, not always great. Utah offensively is led by Micah Bernard. Mekhi Bernard, excuse me. Mekhi Bernard has been really good, rock solid for them in the line of several running backs that we've seen from them over the last few years. Big, tough, physical run game, and that's certainly what they're going to be looking to do against Colorado, which struggled stopping a big physical run game when Kansas State came to Boulder a few weeks ago. So that's something that Utah is going to have to utilize and really play well in that run game. They've struggled offensively, and it's not just from an injury standpoint. They've also had some change-ups in their coaching staff. Andy Ludwig was their offensive coordinator. He stepped down last month. So a bunch of turnover, not just from personnel on the field, but also continuity off the field for Utah offensively. That leads me to believe that Colorado, which has shown the ability to really play well on the defensive side, they should play well defensively. Rob Livingston, their new defensive coordinator, first-year call in place. On the defensive side, he was a defensive back coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. Really astute hire from Deion Sanders in the line of and in the vein of when Urban Meyer hired Ryan Day from Chip Kelly's staff in San Francisco, when Joe Brady was hired by Orgeron at LSU from the Saints staff and going to LSU. Like these things happen and they can work. Jeff Hafley was hired by Ryan Day from the NFL, and he came and was immediately a very good defensive coordinator. So that's what Rob Livingston is, and he's had a ton of success, and the front has had a ton of success. I think they're going to give Utah a lot of problems because this defensive front for Colorado has played incredibly well. Last week against Texas Tech, they had 7 sacks, 3 takeaways. Tech did not do anything after that really fast start when they jumped out to that 13-0 lead. That's that side of the ball. I think Colorado has a distinct advantage with Deion Sanders and that defense when they're facing Utah. So then the game becomes about protecting Shedeur Sanders. When Colorado has the ball, that's the entire thing. Now, you can say, well, we need to run it a little bit in order to protect him, and that's probably accurate. Now, is Colorado going to run a dominant run game out there? No, probably not. And is Utah better on the defensive front right now than they probably have been for the entirety of the season? Yes. Last week against BYU, they started their what they would call their projected front seven for the first time all year. And so those guys playing as a healthy group made life very difficult on Retzlaff and that BYU offense. They did a really nice job. Utah did. This is still a defense that's number one in the Big 12 in scoring and total defense. So this is not going to be easy for Colorado. Now, Colorado has won 3 straight. They're in control of their own destiny. A lot have been talked about that, and we certainly have right here. To get into the Big 12 championship game and then ultimately to control their destiny to go to the college football playoff. They lead the Big 12 in scoring. So this is the best scoring defense in the Big 12 against the best scoring offense in the Big 12. I love when we get strength against strength, and that's what we're going to have when Utah and Colorado are on the field with Shedeur Sanders, those wide receivers. A bit of an issue for Colorado, Jimmy Horn, who is one of the fastest players in the country, questionable day-to-day on the outside for the Buffs. Now, they do have depth at that position. It's one of the positions that they have a lot of depth in and a lot of great players. They've got Travis Hunter, LeJohntay Wester, Will Shepard. These guys are good players, but Horn's speed is rare and different and impactful. And so if he's not on the field and Shedeur is having to deal with that front seven, I think this could be a lower scoring game than people are realizing. So big noon kickoff, big noon Saturday. We'll be live in Boulder on Saturday morning. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.